time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, fellow Galactic listeners. I'm Heather Allred, and this is WSTR Galactic Public Access, the Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 56. Today we're going to talk about the characters we lost in The Last Jedi and the impact they had on the Star Wars universe. Joining me today is Todd Hoffman.
What is up, everyone?
Todd Hoffman is in the building.
I am. Well, not in the building, but...
Well, not the same build, but a building.
A building, yes.
Awesome.
A living structure of something. Yeah.
I love it. Well, I think without any further ado, let's jump into this main topic.
And now for our feature presentation.
So, the Star Wars universe is filled with wonderful characters, both big and small. Size-wise, with big and small roles.
Yes,
so
exactly.
We want
exactly.
To, cover all the bases.
Right.
So, we want to explore some of the people we lost in The Last Jedi. So.
Yeah. So I think we'll go like maybe chronologically as we.
Oh, good, through the movie.
Yeah, through the movie.
I like it.
So, first off, this is like a 1-2 punch. So. Yeah. First one is Captain Kennedy, who was played by Mark Lewis Jones, and then his first officer commander. I'm not even going to try to say her name, but it's like Amira Gazella, I think.
Gazala, something like that.
Yeah. So they, of course, Captain Kennedy is on the Dreadnought, the huge pizza slice with a bunch of guns. It has amazing, huge guns, and these two were perfectly cast, like as a bit like Imperial officers, or First Order officers, and I think they've done a really good job, like especially like in Rogue One and Force Awakens and Last Jedi. Some of the Imperials they picked are just amazing, and Captain Kennedy has like the best like sneer as he looks into death. I really liked, like, even though even the First Order commander too, I thought they both played like a really well role, I guess. For such a short-lived time, and there's like I feel like there's more it doesn't matter how long your screen time is in Star Wars, as long as you have screen time is like a perfect, you're like, hey, I was in Star Wars, so, but yeah, I really loved both of these two, just making, just their little, screen time. I thought it was amazing. What are your thoughts, Heather?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I love Captain Kennedy has a very stoic captain approach to things. Like, he might be on the, the bad guy side, but he believed in his crew. Like, you could just kind of see that, I feel like. He's like, I'm going down with my ship. I'm going down with purpose.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just like visually when the way he stood and everything. That's the visual I got from him. Yeah, for sure.
And that sneer, and the sneer just gets me. I'm like, oh man, it's like so good.
But yeah, no, I like everything that you said about it. You don't need huge screen time if the screen time is like.
Yeah, no.
I use the word heavy, but sustained presence.
Yeah. I mean, we as Star Wars fans, like, even if you don't say a word, we love you. So that,
right.
So, he had some screen time, he had some lines spoken, and just very typical, like, Imperial First Order officer, and he's amazing. Totally. So, yeah. So a moment of silence for both of them.
A moment.
All right, moving on. This happens like 1-2 as well, because like the next one is Rose's sister, Paige Tico, played by Veronica Nago. I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Sure.
Yeah. So again, she didn't have a lot of screen time either, but I thought her acting was on point. Just the way, and I do love how like Rian Johnson shot this, as far as like just the resistance bombers are cool anyways. We kind of talked about before, like they got the World War II vibe going on, but I just love how, she took it upon herself to see what was going on with the bombs, and of course they have like a fail-safe switch, and she had to get it, and then she fell and she's laying on her back. And I mean, I just think how that was shot was really well, and her acting was on point. What are your thoughts on Paige?
Yeah, I was actually a little bummed to see her go, because she responded so well in the chaos of the space battle of the war, but knew she had a job to do.
Right.
And just sort of like a clear head about it, to have fallen and being like, no, I need that remote. I need to continue to do what my job is, kind of a thing. And the smart thinking to, kick the beam or whatever it officially was that she kicked, kind of. And just that sweet sister moment to, touch the other half of the pendant. And you almost get like a full story about her in a brief period.
Yeah, I think that's a really good statement about Paige, because I think, again, she didn't have to say too much, and she really didn't say too much in that whole scene. But I think it's a combination of her acting and how Rian shot that makes the impact really well. And again, she's a hero. She did her job to the end and made sure that those bombs got away. So
totally.
Yes. Another character that bites the dust in The Last Jedi. So moving right along, another one that has some screen time in the opening space battle is the A-Wing pilot Tali. And she's the one that, for listeners, she's the one that's kind of in the front lines of the A-Wings right before the battle starts, and she kind of like salutes. Or no, she says. I think she says something. I'm blanking like exactly what she says, but she's the one that like basically is a real nice close up of her in the A-Wing, and so she survives that battle. But it's our boy Kylo Ren that puts the end to her as Kylo's going into the capital ship, the Radis, where Princess Leia is, and they're all in the hangar trying to scramble. And I think that's where that's where it got confused. She does the salute to the other pilots, and as they're about to take off, and that's when Kylo like throws down some missiles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she didn't make it out of the hangar.
No, not so much.
No, not so much at all. So yeah.
Yeah.
Tali is her name, and Hermione Corfield played the actress that played that pilot.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, just another similar to how they shot, in A New Hope. Rian does the same thing where they kind of do a nice close up of the cockpit, and you get to see the Resistance fighter, and she has a couple close up shots of her fighting, blah blah blah, and then obviously in the hangar, a lot of people didn't make it out of the hangar. So
right,
yeah. So another one.
Yeah. but again, really kind of cool to see, another female pilot, to see someone out there in the battle holding strong.
Yeah.
I did have to Google her though.
Right.
I couldn't remember visually what she looked like. and being like, wow, she was really young. Because I think, I remember from like the original movies, you just have all these kind of like older folk.
Right.
I mean, I'm an older folk now, but still, but like you get my drift. Like
I get it. Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, it had more of the 70 vibes, with guys with burly mustaches. And,
the mustaches.
And, yeah. Shout out. Well, that's the other thing. Gosh, I forget his name, but again, I'm going back to like Rogue One. The Blue Squadron leader had the mustache that was like on point.
Yes.
But anyways, yeah, I digress.
Side note.
Yeah, it is good to see a female pilot out there. And again, even though another small role, she did get some close-ups and some screen time, so.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. The next one, this one hits home. This is
the big one.
This is a big one. Yeah. So those are all kind of minor characters, and
right.
Next one is a major character, but minor screen time on
sure.
in The Last Jedi is Admiral Akbar.
What? I mean, what do you do?
What do you do? So he's played by Tim Rose, who Tim Rose reprised his role to play Akbar. But here's an interesting little nugget that I didn't even know about. But his voice is done by Tom Kane, and Tom Kane is known from Clone Wars, the cartoon series, as the voice of Yoda. So now he's switching gears and doing a little Akbar. So I thought that was kind of a little interesting little nugget about our good friend Akbar, So
yeah.
This one hurts. Like in fact, I'm kind of bummed how this was handled. Because pun intended or no pun intended, like it was just like a throwaway line. So, the girl that has like the big nose is like telling everybody, I know it's a horrible way to describe a person, but yeah. So she's the resistance officer that kind of just says, hey, Holdo is coming. She's going to be our commander or whatever now, because Leia is injured and we lost a lot of people, including General Akbar or Admiral Akbar. And just like, what? You couldn't couldn't we get like at least like some frozen Akbar so we can have like awesome memes about like frozen fish in space or something like that, like, we get to see him on the deck, when all the fighting's going on, but like, I don't know. I wish we had a little bit more.
Where's his send off?
Yeah. And I don't know, we talked about this before, like even with the Holdo character, like it would have been cool if like Admiral Akbar did the little hyperspace move or something like that, but I don't know. I was hoping for a little more, not just like sucked up in space and later, so this one hurts, because he's a stud. I mean, obviously his claim to fame is in Return of Jedi, it's a trap, but I just wish there was a little bit more either screen time or we knew. I think honestly it would have been impactful if like we literally saw him in space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's not a C or D level character. I mean, he's a main character. People quote him all the time.
He pretty much has one of the most top 10 quoted Star Wars lines of all time. Yeah. So yeah.
So it was definitely sad. I mean, I think if you weren't paying attention, you might have even missed it.
Right. Yeah.
And you're like, wait, that's not cool. And, so this is where you just start to pray, or, that the extended scenes on the Blu-ray DVD provide you something.
Right. I need floating Akbar in space.
I need a floating Akbar.
Yeah.
So I'm totally on your camp of a bit of a disappointment, but
yeah, I just, again, like,
so.
with any film, you always wonder like the time they use for whatever it is, like why do they show that cup for like 10 seconds or, like all the different little edits that they do. And you just kind of wonder, like, even with this, it's like, dude, you couldn't do like 5 seconds of Akbar or something, like,
yeah.
Even if like, I guess one thing would be like, okay, you don't show him floating in space, but you see him like getting sucked out by the vacuum or something. I don't know.
Right.
Or at least like, he might have been there, but we don't catch it unless you like slow it down. And obviously, like when you're filming, you want to say, oh, okay, I want to bring attention. I want your eyes to be drawn to this, and it would have been better if we saw Akbar like do something. I don't know. So yeah, little bum about Akbar, but yeah, that one hurts. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Okay, moving right along.
All right.
Yeah, so this next one, he doesn't even have a name. Sorry, Danny Spania. But he's the medical frigate captain. So he's one of the ships that are behind the main capital ship of the Resistance, and he says Godspeed as he like basically runs out of gas. And apparently when you run out of gas, the whole ship just floats, which I didn't quite get, and this is one of the banes of the whole plot. But he runs out of fuel, and he sacrifices himself as the only captain on the ship, as everyone took their escape pods and joined the rest of the crew. And yeah, he bit it good. So this guy, the medical frigate captain guy, gets a send off death, but like again, Admiral Akbar, no death. I mean, come on, man, come on.
I know. Yeah.
So I don't think we see him at all, except in this like him as a hologram, kind of talking to Holdo. So yeah, I don't know if.
Ooh, valid. Yeah.
I don't think we get to see him that much. So
yeah, no. Again, no offense to Danny, but I don't remember him.
Quick Google search.
I know. What does he look like? Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, that guy. So
yeah,
not this one again, because there wasn't like too much involved with him. Not really. No real impact in the old Star Wars universe, but I'm sure, someday there will be an action figure for him. Maybe. I don't know. All right. Now we're getting to the meat and potatoes.
Gosh.
So, a lot of those were kind of bit characters, but this is the meat and potatoes. Okay. So, yeah, this one came out of nowhere and kind of I would say from a impact, this is probably one of the biggest ones.
Agreed.
Supreme Leader Snoke, played by Andy Serkis. Jeez, I can't even talk today. Holy cow. Yeah, so Snoke.
It's a big one.
It's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have mixed feelings, because obviously one of my predictions was someone was going to take him out. So I wasn't necessarily surprised.
I think, no, your words were, I want somebody to stick it to him.
Okay, I want someone to stick it to him.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, so I guess I wasn't surprised per se, but this was also me going through with the whole, like, Grey Jedi theory, and so we had to remove, Snoke from that. But,
right, yeah.
But I've heard a lot of other people, and this podcast specifically, that it is sort of sad that we don't have much other backstory about him.
Correct. Yes.
So yeah.
But I mean, okay, this one, I mean, stays with you a little bit because first of all, gets get the lightsaber through the torso, and then get the moment where the lightsaber goes to Rey's hand, and everyone's a collective gasp, like, "Oh snap! You just got cut in half," So,
right.
So we've seen this before, obviously Darth Maul gets the old slice of Rooney right in half.
Mm-hmm.
And George kind of went on record and said, well, I wanted him dead, but then he's such a powerful character that they bring him back in Clone Wars. So there's that.
There's that.
So you're not dead until you're like dead, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. And this is where it goes back to, is Snoke really dead? Did he come back? But, again, how this was shot, how they portrayed it. I mean, there was a lot of different shots of like him just kind of laying there and his torso kind of flopped over. And yeah. What do you think about this one, Heather?
Yeah. It's just, it's the whole, anytime you see a movie or television show, there, no one's dead until you actually see the body kind of a thing.
Yeah.
That, how powerful was Snoke? Does he have a component that will bring him back? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
But in regards to the way that they chose to, I will, in quotation marks that you guys can't see me doing, say
quotes.
That he's dead, the way he was killed, air quotes.
Yeah.
First off, the scene was really powerful to basically be this like monochromatic world with, splashes of red in there and everything. And
yeah.
It was shot really well. Again, kind of
and
a
his
really
gold
cool
robes.
send-off.
He was killing it in the gold robes.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a great, from a color palette perspective, like his whole throne room, and then with the red sheets and the Praetorian guards and everything around it, and obviously his gold robes, like really from how it's visually portrayed is really awesome. But his death is impactful in the sense that it propels everyone, I would say, even Rey a little bit, but obviously the biggest one is Kylo. So his death is not in vain. And it comes, I would say this is probably halfway through the movie. So, I think it is really shot well. His death is not in vain. And it provides, it definitely, in this instance, it definitely propels the story, even better. And obviously there's a little bait and switch because you think that Kylo and Rey are actually going to team up and they're going to be best friends forever. But no.
BFFs. No BFFs.
Yeah. Are we? What is it like? Kylo Rey or Rey Kylo? Like, how would you? Like,
how would you put their names together?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, there's not really a good way to do that. So,
Kai Rey or something.
Kai Rey. There we go. We could try that. Kai Rey. We'll call them
Kai Rey.
Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, again. I wasn't expecting...
a big turning point death. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And again, it comes unexpected, which obviously is a good storytelling element if it's pulled off correctly. And I felt, I felt this was executed properly, so even though we didn't get a lot from his story, like,
sure.
who are you? I have no idea. So
for sure.
Yeah. But I think again his performance is really well. Even though he's a digital character, I thought it was really well done. And yeah.
Andy Serkis is a genius. So
yes.
Yeah.
He provides, he's got his own basically, and he's got his own like studio, like, hey, we're like motion captured, and it's like a motion captured god,
sure.
Like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
See you later, Snoke.
Peace out.
Okay. Moving right along.
Okay.
Next up, Vice Admiral Emil Holdo, played by Lauren Dern.
Mm.
So, again, this is the first time we in Last Jedi, unlike Snoke, where we met in The Force Awakens. Holdo is a brand new character in The Last Jedi, and she's one and done. She doesn't even make it to the third act in this one. So,
no.
Yeah, so there's a lot of mixed feelings about Holdo, but what are your thoughts on the character of Holdo there, Heather?
Yeah, I mean, if I remove all of my thoughts about how the death how she died,
yes,
would have made a great death for Princess Leia.
But
if I remove that thought process from my brain,
okay,
it's a very valiant death.
Yes,
a very sacrificial.
Yeah.
Obviously the storyline provided to us with coming in and then going up against, Poe and the whole thing, and sort of being like I'm really a good guy and I'm going to sacrifice myself for the greater good. Applause. We love Laura Dern. That kind of thing.
Yes.
But then if I add back in the component that I previously took out, I'm a little like, oh, we've just met you and you get to be the big hero? Like, not that can't happen, but yeah. I'm a mixed feeling person about this.
Right. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat. Like, again, the aftermath of what she did, is one of the best visuals ever. And obviously we got holy cows and bleep bleep bleeps after the 10 seconds of silence or whatever. I mean, again, from a visual perspective, that was executed really well. But I think, like you said, again, because she's just one and done, should it have been somebody else that went on kind of like a hero sacrificed here? Right. But I think it is a very valiant death, and it shows you, traveling through hyperspace isn't like dust and crops, as Han Solo so eloquently put it to Luke Skywalker. And that's what happens when you just make a flying jump and there's ships in the way. So, I mean, I think Laura Dern is an excellent actress, and we talked about her before in previous episodes, but I just don't know, from a character perspective but I think her death is definitely very valiant for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Moving right along to another female character, Captain Phasma, played by Gwendolyn Christie.
Yes.
So, how did Phasma die?
Yeah.
So how did Phasma die?
I don't know.
She fell through a floor that was on fire. This one's a hard one for me too.
Why is that?
Because I just don't think she was. I don't think she was used well in this film. It's a cool character, cool concept, but very underutilized. And considering what Gwendolyn Christie can do, I just think it's not the best way for her to die, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. It's a waste of character for me, and that's where I feel like her death falls flat, because there's although, we talked about this before as far as she being a foil to Finn, because that's Finn's past, and I get that, but and the fight is awesome, but I just feel like it falls flat as far as the execution of it, What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Captain Phasma?
Captain Phasma.
It's a fun name to say, though. Captain Phasma.
I was gonna say, I mean, I think you kind of nailed it on the head a little bit. It's a very intriguing character. But
plus, we like shiny things, you know.
We like shiny things. Yes.
You're so shiny. I just want to touch your armor. It's so shiny.
But yeah, was her character really fleshed out in a way that, it could have been? Or is she sadly just the shiny stormtrooper?
Yeah.
So, so then the whole idea of her death, and again, is she really dead? I don't know. I'm just making up words,
right. Did you really, really fall through the big Star Destroyer into space, or you just fell like a sub-level and you're cool, and you're going to come back,
Right. Well, I just feel like, is it one of those things where they fall, but she's, magically holding on, so when we, go into the next movie, she like pulls herself up from the rubble and we're all like, oh my gosh.
Amazing.
But yeah, so I think she's a little bit, I think for me, where I'm at with Snoke.
Okay.
And let me defend that statement. It is, I think, assuming that she's actually dead, it closed a chapter for Finn's story. So we can now move on. But I'm also sort of like, but I would like to have known more about her.
Yeah. Yeah, this goes back to, again, of the characters we already reviewed, like the people that have like small bit parts, I felt like had bigger impact than Captain Phasma, Right.
Now, is that also because those deaths happened during a major battle scene?
I don't think so, because again,
No?
she's like, she's fighting, Finn, which is a main character in the Star Wars universe now. So, I mean, the screen time's there, but I just don't feel like, again, if you're looking at like a character and how they impact the Star Wars universe and all that kind of stuff, this one falls flat. Like, I felt like, she definitely was underutilized even in The Force Awakens. So,
Sure.
I think personally, I just don't like how this character arc is,
Yeah.
Again, she's definitely, she commands herself. She has a presence to herself, and she's definitely holds her own in this kind of man's world, basically, as far as like how the First Order is set up. But I just don't think she was used properly,
Yeah.
So yeah, Captain Phasma.
So shiny.
so very shiny. so very shiny. So, we'll miss your
shiny. Hashtag shiny.
Shiny armor. So pretty. But yeah. Well, and speaking about shiny armor, I felt like, again, in that battle, it was the way they used that, and the kind of like reflection of her armor and stuff is fantastic. Yeah. It's fantastically shot. It's awesome, but again, that doesn't make up for the lack of character growth for Captain Phasma. So
correct.
Oh, good old Captain Phasma. Oh man. Okay, so here we go. We're moving right down the list. Okay. And finally, Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin?
Yes. This one is a little, like, we can unpack this for a little bit. So,
sure.
Obviously, Luke Skywalker, kind of the hero in, the original trilogy, and we get a small glimpse of him in The Force Awakens, and we're super excited to see him in The Last Jedi, and we did get to see him in The Last Jedi. So what are your thoughts about grumpy old man Luke in The Last Jedi?
Oh man, super good to see him again. I think we have to start by saying that Mark Hamill, I think, is just a really sweet guy. From some of the interviews I've seen, and having him just talk about Luke as a character.
Right.
So, you know, when you factor all of that in, you're like, all right, this better be good. You know, like once
Right,
the
yeah.
send off happens,
Yeah.
you know, I think if I can be retrospective for a moment with like Han,
You
you know,
may.
thank you.
Right.
With his send off, obviously major death component there.
Right. Yeah.
For those who've not seen it, I don't know where you've been, but
right.
you know,
we're past spoilers for that.
We're past spoilers, but
yeah.
you know, to have, you know, your son completely betray you, that's a huge thing. And so now I'm like, okay, so Luke, and what's going on? So I honestly wasn't expecting his death when I first saw the movie. I just, you know, I had no idea where the story was going.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you thought before he passed away, obviously into the Force, as he disappeared in the Force. You thought he was going to make it out.
Yes. Well, yes. So okay. So we'll put my full vulnerability onto the podcast. So
all right, here we go.
It took me a little while to realize that wasn't actually him fighting. It wasn't. When he walked out, I was like, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. And then after Kylo tried to shoot him down like 8,000 bajillion times at the same time, and he like brushed his shoulder off, it wasn't until I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? You know, and when you have like a 20-minute conversation in 30 seconds with yourself, that's basically what I did.
Right, yeah.
And I
thought he just put up a force bubble. I'm like, oh, that's a force bubble. That's a force bubble.
It's a force bubble.
Yeah, exactly. Shields up, shields up. Here we go.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, but then he looked different. He'd, you know, taken a shower and got his hair did, and like
the dinosaur chicken leg nuns gave him a fresh trim, and you know, he kind of went little metro. Yeah. He went a little metro and got little dye, little trim. Yeah.
Yeah. But then all of a sudden he wasn't making footprints on the ground.
Now, did you catch that the first viewing?
I did.
Okay.
But it took a while.
Okay.
Like I said, when he started walking, I didn't see it. And then it wasn't until Kylo was down there with him that all of a sudden I then noticed that there was no trail. Yeah,
I think I was just completely caught up in the moment. Like the only time I thought about it was when he first showed up. I'm like, wait a minute. They said there's no other exits. You know, like this is the only way in, only way out. So as the movie's progressing, I felt like they told you that for a specific reason, you know, but then I was like, dude, he's a Jedi. He can find a way in. He's got a lightsaber, you know. But then, you know, it's like that was the first thing. And then obviously, like you said, like he looked good, you know? So I'm like, okay. So he just happened to get, you know, it once I saw it, you know, I'm kind of retrospect because in the first time I'm like, oh, I just kind of like pass it off. I'm like, okay, well, you know, he got a quick, he wanted to look good for all the resistance people. I don't know, you know, but yeah, I did not catch the salt thing or the ground thing until the second viewing. I was like, and there's my sign right there, you know.
Totally. Yeah. But so I go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, yeah, I think because I had this idea that not that he had to like get groomed up because he had like some impressive date or something.
Right.
It almost felt like Yoda came, did the whole like slap across the face, like pull yourself together situation.
Do
your thing. And so he went from grumpy old man to this is the Jedi that I am. That's what I initially thought.
Yeah.
You know, like, all right, so he's basically cleared up old man Luke and he's ready to proceed on. So for me, I just thought, oh, this is the second wave of him. This is continuing story of him. So I did not see his death coming.
Got it. Yeah. No, again, like, I'm perfectly okay with how Rian Johnson and handled Luke, and you mentioned this earlier. Like, I think Mark Hamill was amazing in this picture. I thought he was just spot on as far as how he portrayed Luke. I thought it was amazing. And again, I love how this ended for him. My only gripe of the thing is I wish that, like, they showed him meditating, which you're like, oh my gosh, she's not even there, and then they do the shot where you kind of see it behind it. They switch it where you're not seeing it from the cliff side, you're seeing it from the cave, like in the little cave, and you see the back of him, and he kind of flops down, and then he gets up. You're like, oh, okay, he's fine. And then he's meditating. He kind of sitting on the rock again, and then he vanishes. I just wish that, okay, they show him that he's not there, or he's meditating on the rock. You're like, and then when the fight is done or whatever, I really wish he faded away then.
Oh, sure.
Because that would have been, like, it kind of sets you're like, oh, whew, he's okay. And then he come back, and then he fades away, like, no, So that was my only gripe. I felt like it kind of was like, not a sucker punch, but just, I wish it was just shot, like, it would have been, I felt a little bit more fluid if they just did the one shot, like, okay, he did it, and I don't know, but I agree. I really like how, and then with the Broom Kid, they're playing with the action figures and telling the story about Luke Skywalker, and I think it just sets Luke up to be that legend that that we know of him, from a fan perspective in the Star Wars mythos, but now it sets that up actually in universe, like, oh yeah, the legend of Luke Skywalker is like a real deal, so any final thoughts about Luke?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know if I mentioned, but I liked that he wasn't traditionally killed, if you will, that he gave himself to the Force. It's a fun, unique way, if you will, to see someone go in this universe, or specifically this movie that has been so full of war and fighting.
Yes. Yeah.
It's sort of just a fresh way of looking at it, so that I appreciate. Totally didn't even think until you just stated about the idea of Luke being this myth and this legend and this hero that kids get to emulate, kind of a thing. I think that's really a cool way to look at it too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to get too like what's the word, like meta on it, how it's speaking to you. But yeah, I mean, from a kid's perspective, obviously growing up in Rogue Trilogy, either you like Han or Luke, whichever one you want, that kind of thing. So you're always playing with the action figures, and now you kind of have that in universe in Star Wars, telling a story about Luke Skywalker and what he did to the First Order. I think it's so well done and so well executed. I really do like that. Now, do you think, like, I didn't like how Han Solo went out? I know you mentioned that earlier, like,
sure,
I don't know, like, again, no guardrails, he just flops over and he's gone. It's like, I don't know. Well, in this instance, like you said, like, Luke kind of gives him up to the Force, gives himself up to the Force. It just seems, for me, like, I felt like Han Solo, like, we didn't get the body, it just falls through, and Starkiller Base was like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I get like again, like Kylo killing him, which is very impactful, and it's such visually, it's shot really well when the sun goes away and it's all there. But like, I don't know, I didn't like him just flapping in the air.
Yeah,
it's like no.
Well, and I think you've almost answered it yourself in your explanation. Is they're just very different. You had one with a huge shock value to it.
Yes. Yeah.
That then was your traditional, lightsaber death falling versus a Jedi death, for lack of a different way to describe it.
Right.
Similar, not similar, that's not the right word, but like when Yoda dies, there's an element of just him passing on to, it's not this big grandeur of a jet, a fight scene. So I think that's your big difference. But if you look at Han and Luke from the beginning, that's kind of how they've always been. Han's like shooting people and like, I'm just whatever and la la la.
Right, yeah.
Where Luke's a little bit, not there.
Right.
He's not the loose cannon.
Yeah, I mean, Han's death obviously is seen by 3 of the major characters. You got Chewie, Finn, and Rey from the Resistance side, and obviously Kylo was there because he did it. He executed jerk. So there is impact for that. No one got to see Luke die. But it does. Rey felt him in the Force and said he died in peace, which is a good, so she knows of that, and again can kind of pass that along, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's very similar. Again, Yoda did that as well as Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan purposely did that to make sure that, first of all, he's distracted the big baddie Darth Vader, and Luke sees that, and it propels Luke's character. So there's something to be said about the way that is done through, obviously, like giving them up through the Force. So so there you have it, folks. That is the death list of the Last Jedi. So a moment of silence for the fallen.
Yeah. My heart will go on. I'm not doing it. Bad idea.
Bad idea, but it's the thought that counts. But so there you have it. I think we covered all the major characters. There's probably somebody that we missed that might have had some kind of role, but those are the ones that, looking back at the film, I felt like had the most impact in The Last Jedi. So there you have it. Lots of deaths. Lots of death. So, all right, moving on to news of the week.
And now, the Star Wars news of the week.
Okay, first up, guess what? We can't escape it. There's more death. Here we go.
No!
All right, this is coming from Forbes.com, and the headline read, "Did Chewbacca's death reset the Star Wars canon?" So in a recent interview from Sci-Fi, Lin Chi, who's one of the employees of Lucasfilm and is now the keeper of the holocron, which basically means it's the official Star Wars story database that has all the secrets of the known Star Wars universe, and that's Lin Chi's job. So obviously there was a ton of expanded universe, a bunch of novels, everything that was licensed, and we talked about this before. Like, that's one of the cool things about Star Wars is that it is one linear timeline. It's not like there's all these different alternate universes. It's just one linear timeline, and they had all this canon, in the expanded universe. And so, if you're not familiar with this, but in the new, it's called the New Jedi Order, Chewbacca makes a noble sacrifice to save his friends and is killed by, a big giant moon falling on top of his body. So he dies, and it is from a novel perspective, the big three still remain. So
right.
Luke, Han, Leia, they live long after Return of the Jedi. But in this instance, Chewbacca dies. And so Chi kind of explains like how the Wookiees' weird demise complicated Disney effort to cinematically resurrect the franchise. And he stated the following: publishing had decided they needed to kill somebody, and it was Chewbacca. But if you have an opportunity to bring back Chewbacca into a live action film, you're not going to deprive the fans of that. There's no way that I wanted to do an episode 7 that didn't have a Chewbacca in it and had to explain that Chewbacca had the moon fall on his head. And if we're going to overturn a monumental decision like that, everything else was really just minor in comparison, end quote. So there you have it. It's one of those things where, from when you're looking at, obviously at this point when they were writing these stories, they weren't really thinking of any movies coming up. And so you have to make some impact on the, of the major characters. And obviously how you do that is through killing somebody. And they decided to kill Chewbacca, which sends Han on a totally different path. And, very similar to what we kind of see in The Force Awakens, Last Jedi. He goes back to smuggling and kind of lost without Chewie and kind of goes on his, it takes him a while to find himself because he just can't live without Chewie, which is a kind of very good character development, obviously. But when you're looking from a cinematic perspective, you're like, okay, we got, Disney's got this thing and here's all the stories. And like, oh yeah, one of the main guys died before you can even bring him back to screen. It's kind of tough to...
Right.
But then they kill off Han and they kill off Luke. So there you have it. So... Yeah. So
that's tricky, when you have a character in a book that can basically live for as long as people can write about them.
Right.
Versus in cinema, where people can only live as long as they can live.
Right. Makes sense.
Be undelicate about that. But I mean, I can see reasoning to be like, nope, we're just going to keep Chewie around because...
Right. Well, and just think about the trailer when Han Solo comes in the Falcon and he's like, Chewie, we're home. Everyone, every fanboy and girl cried.
Yeah.
I was like pounding the table, like, yes,
I know.
Yes, it does. I mean, Han and Chewie. I mean, it's like you can't get any, get any better.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, exactly. It's like chocolate and peanut butter. I mean, it's just good stuff, and obviously you want that on the screen. So it's very interesting. Obviously when you're writing, you have to have the characters have to feel that impact and you have to write somebody off. And so they chose Chewie, but so there you have it. Okay. Moving on. Number 2. So the New York Times has come out with a book. So yes, it's called A Galaxy Far, Far Away. And it compiles all its coverage that began in 1973 with the article on George Lucas and the space opera he was working on and continues through the Star Wars The Last Jedi. It's a 12 by 15 book. So a nice little coffee table book, if you like those big books. Contains articles, photos, reviews, graphics, obituaries, behind-the-scene exclusives, and basically recounting 40 years of all the New York Times articles.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was pretty amazing, and they even have little blurbs at the bottom of what corrections. So they misidentified stormtroopers as robots, and they misspelled Wookiee, with 1 E instead of 2, blah blah blah. But you can order it. You can order it on the New York Times website for a cool $70.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to get it. I love.
I was
books.
Gonna say, I might. I was like, I should get that for my brother.
Yeah, I love books. I love
Yeah.
I love big books, you know. So yeah, that it just came out, which it's awesome that it's like got like basically 4 years of coverage of Star Wars, which would be really interesting. So
For sure.
okay, number 3, here we
Okay.
go. Ryan Johnson went to Twitter and took down the haters. So,
Oh, man.
so this happened just the other week. It was basically in regards to Luke's Force abilities, and that was one of the criticisms about the astral projection, or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, Force ability. And so, basically, what he did was, through a series of tweets, started taking pictures of a bookshelf, and then he focuses on the Jedi Path book, which is in Legends category. Like, it's a Legends book, basically. Obviously, what we just talked about with in the last with the death of Chewbacca, that's in Legends, and now is technically not considered canon, but it's still kind of open source, where if they want to pull stuff out, they will. So the
Okay.
Jedi Path book is written as like almost like a manual, okay? And it's interesting because they have like the way it's written is that it has like side notes about like people, like if somebody picked it up and wrote notes in a book. So it's kind of written like that. So it's got like all these different things, but there's a section about Force abilities, okay? So in the tweets, like Ryan kind of shows the bookshelf, shows the book, and then he goes to this paragraph, and it's called, it's talking about Force abilities. So a doppelganger, okay? Or I'm going to butcher this. It's like Simul Futurus permits a Jedi to create a short-lived duplicate of himself or herself, or an external object that is visually indistinguishable from the real item. Those who have perfected this ability can create phantoms of any person of their choosing, or trick an enemy into seeing more objects, such as droids, than are actually present. End quote. So basically what he's saying is like, look, this was already written in Star Wars lore, and I just used it.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you think about that, Heather?
Well, I was never surprised by this. I mean, I was surprised because I didn't realize it wasn't him and that it was in a projection of him.
Right.
Sorry. So many thoughts at the same time.
I
But
know.
yeah, I mean, I think what made it believable for me was, but I'm kind of gullible for anything Yoda, but like when Yoda came to him, but like could knock him on the head and start a fire kind of a thing. I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
if you're a powerful enough Jedi, apparently you can do whatever the heck you want to do.
right, yeah.
Like,
If you want to make a copy of yourself, go right ahead.
go for it. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, so I think that's sort of where I came at it from, in the naiveness of my brain, to be like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If the Force is as
for sure.
powerful as they say that it is,
Yes.
I'm not surprised.
Right,
And
exactly.
now apparently there's
exactly.
a Jedi manual that backs me up. So
right. Yep. You got it. It's like, yeah. You could do whatever you want. Like that was kind of the same way with me. Like I obviously have the Jedi Path book, but I don't remember this particular one. But at the same time, it's like, oh yeah, they could do whatever they want, like, sure. There's another cool one that they explored, in the new Jedi series that was kind of interesting, and they call it like Force walking, which is in a sense like they get to travel back in time and see events, but they're like right there with them, but the people that are in those events don't see them. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like you get almost time travel back in time, and you're in the, like you're actually like seeing everything that happens, but they don't recognize you.
They don't see you. Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, that is super cool. I was like, oh, that's awesome. But
right.
Yeah, again, the Force is so open. Like, I feel like you can put anything, like, yeah, you could totally do that, So yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, Rian Johnson just, again, not shying away from the critics and just stepping up and just saying, hey, it was written, so. All right, and then finally, last news item, as of this recording on Tuesday, 23rd, Star Wars: The Last Jedi got nominated for 4 Academy Awards.
I saw that.
Yeah, so the 4 are sound editing, sound mixing, best visual effects, and for John Williams, best original score.
Obviously,
duh. So yeah, that's, obviously, for me, I felt like Mark Hamill and Adam Driver like nailed it, and I was hoping maybe they'll throw in a sci-fi, best supporting actor or something like that, but unfortunately they did not. But still pretty, again, just to be nominated for 4 Academy Awards is pretty spectacular. So
for sure.
So that's cool. Sure. That's cool. So fun little exciting news that came out today. All right, moving on to Cantina Chats. Heather.
Yes.
Is there anything Star Warsy going on with you this last week?
Well, my podcast friends, I've gone to the dark side.
Okay.
That's a lie. That's very dramatic.
I know, it is. It is.
So I went to the library and I checked out Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void to begin reading my very first Star Wars book.
Oh, wow.
Are you just so proud, everyone out there?
I'm proud.
Todd's proud. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the big news. That's the big Star Wars story of my life.
Yeah, nice. That's amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still reading. I put it on pause for a little bit, but it is a really good book. It's like Princess Leia. It's one of the new canon novels, and it's really good. Everything that, like, I started reading it, and then Last Jedi came out, and I was like, and so now I'm finally back, and I'm reading that and stuff. So, also, like, Trent just recently had a birthday party, and so
happy birthday, Trent!
Hey, happy birthday! And so he got some Star Wars Legos. So, like, tonight, I was like putting all his Legos together, and like, I guess I'll help you. So yeah, there was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun doing that. So, but yeah, nothing too much else going on. But yeah, that's okay. I mean, doing a podcast every week, so that's cool.
I mean, that's something, right?
that's something. Yeah, that's something Star Warsy. But every day, this is funny though. We're listening on Pandora today. Obviously, I was working from home and I had Pandora on, and I have like movie scores on. John Williams is in the mix. And so the A New Hope like ceremony. I forget the actual track, but it's the medal ceremony track.
Oh, sure.
Trent turns to me and he's like, "Dad, why didn't Chewie get a medal?" I was like, excellent question. 40 years later, we're still arguing about, like, dude. And I told him, I said, Chewie should have got a medal. I'm not really sure why he didn't. And because he was the co-pilot for Han Solo, or Han, however you want to pronounce it, And I said, but we saw in The Last Jedi that he kicked butt being a pilot by himself. He was like fighting off the porgs and still doing his thing, and and basically took half the First Order fleet away from, Resistance. I was like, Chewie can hold his own, man. He's good to go. So
maybe the next time either I go or your family goes to Walt Disney World or Disneyland and you do a meet and greet, we should make him a medal and give it to him.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
That's
such a good idea. I'm sure people have already done that.
I'm sure people have already done it,
but I feel like it's appropriate. Like it's your medal that you created. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. He's like, Dad, why didn't Chewie get a medal? I'm like, that is an excellent point. Excellent point. See, so equality for Wookiees. Here we go.
That's right.
Right. Exactly. All right. Why don't I wrap us up from our death episode?
Oh, man.
I know.
So dramatic.
It's so morbid. So thanks again for listening to another episode of WSTR Podcast. Once again, you can check us out on the social media at WSTR Media, all one word, all lowercase. We want to hear from you. So comment, tweet, rate us on iTunes. You can email us at wstr.podcast@gmail.com. You can also leave us a voicemail, 630-557-WSTR. That's 630-557-9787. Operators are standing by to take those calls. No, it's just a voicemail. You can just leave, a voicemail and we can play it on an upcoming podcast. If you want to listen to any of our back catalog, you can check us out at wstrmedia.libsyn.com. That's wstrmedia.libsyn.com. Now you know all the ways to get a hold of us. Next week, maybe Han Solo movie trailer? No, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe. They're saying Super Bowl now, so we might have to wait to the Super Bowl. But I just feel like...
Does that mean I have to watch the Super Bowl now?
Pretty much, Heather, yes.
Okay.
Mostly, so if you're not like football, then you just go for the commercials. Well, one of those commercials will be a movie trailer for Han Solo. There we go. So, or you could just not watch the game and just wait for it to upload on YouTube, which will probably be like 5 minutes later. So
good point. Good point.
Yeah. So, but we were all kind of gung ho a couple weeks ago, like, oh, it's going to drop Monday, and then it didn't drop, and now it's been like 2 or 3 weeks since that like supposedly trailer drop was going to happen, and now it's looking like Super Bowl is when it's going to happen. So another week. So
all right.
There you go. So probably not Han Solo movie trailer next week. maybe the following week. It will happen. But I feel like it's just fun to say, we're going to review the Han Solo trailer movie next week, but maybe not. So, all right.
Okay.
Here we go. Now, this is podcasting. No more deaths.